We do have some new details to share with you about that case of a Georgia father charged with felony murder, murdering his infant son here. Autopsy results revealed 22-month-old Cooper Harris died from hypothermia of overheating the body. Police say Cooper's father, 33-year-old Justin Harris, intentionally left him sitting in a boiling SUV. The temperature outside that day in metro Atlanta topped to 90 degrees. The temperatures inside the truck could have been as high as 130, so it was heat here. Despite public outcry about the severity of Harris's charges, investigators say there is more to this case than meets the eye and that evidence points to a homicide. There are even reports that police searched Harris's work computer and discovered someone had performed some Google searches on how long it takes an animal to die in a hot car. But when asked about that particular search, authorities weren't talking.
What can you tell us about the search of his computer showing that someone used his work computer to search for how long it would take for an animal to die in a hot car?
We're not going to get into the specifics of the case. As I said, the search warrants have been applied for. There have been some search warrants that have been granted, but as far as the execution of the search warrants and the evidentiary value of any information that's obtained, that is not being released by the Cobb County Police Department at this time, and that is merely speculation.
We have CNN's Martin Savage standing outside the Cobb County Police Department for us, and also joining me here in studio, Philip Holloway, criminal defense attorney. But Martin, to begin with you, can you just expound upon this new bits of information we're getting today in the investigation?
Well, a couple of things. I mean, of course, what you were just talking about there, the possibility of a computer having some kind of intel in this case. We all know now it's standard practice that any electronics that you have are going to be likely to be warranted. In other words, somebody's going to come looking, especially investigators, because they have a lot of information, either knowingly or unknowingly, that is gathered by them. So that's going to be standard procedure there, and we are waiting to hear what those warrants will reveal. Then, yes, you mentioned the cause of death. Preliminary cause of death, we should point out, and it was released by the public information officer, attributed to the coroner, hypothermia. I suppose if it wasn't hypothermia in a case like this, we would have really been shocked. It was pointed out that the toxicology results are not back. Somebody asked, why would you have toxicology results on a 22-month-old child? I think the answer was pretty much, hey, we cover all the bases regardless. Whether that will have anything further, we don't know. So that's where it stands right now. And then the reduction of the cruelty against a child charge going from first degree to second degree, that raised some eyebrows too. But there's still felony murder, as you've already said.
Martin, thank you. Philip, to you, let's just hone in on this notion that, of course, investigators are going under every nook and cranny, be it electronic or physical, in his office, in his car, back at home. But with the Google searches, what are they looking for?
If what was reportedly done, as mentioned at the press conference last night, if it turns out to be true that there was a Google search done on how to kill an animal in a hot car, that points to premeditation, it points to deliberation, it points to malice murder, and it could even send him to the death chamber, because that would be unusually heinous, unusually cruel, and a horrific way to kill someone, especially your child.
Yes, agree. But when I think Google searches, immediately who comes to mind is Casey Anthony, right? And she was not convicted.
Well, they're going to have to take that, if it exists, and they're going to have to figure out if he's even the one that did it and what it would mean. So there's a lot more that they're going to have to go through and decipher to determine exactly whether or not it was him that was doing it and why. But if it turns out that he was doing it for that nefarious purpose, it's a whole different case, much more sinister.
Okay. Philip Holloway, thank you very much. We'll stay in close contact, waiting for more information, and Martin Savage for us in Cobb County, Georgia.